Hi guys, Paul here. Hope you're keeping well. Welcome back to the Anfield review. Many thanks, guys, for all the great comments, the subscribes. It's really great. Cranking up onto Instagram, Twitter, or X. God, shut me age on that one, isn't it? So cranking up to the Twitter universe as well, and to TikTok. So pretty much across all of the socials now. So we're just sort of going through the gears on that front. On that. It's been a while since I've been on Twitter. I used to be on Twitter all the time. But that's when I was tending to do my sort of celebrity sort of interviews and conversations as well. So yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, Paul Houghton on Twitter. You can also follow the Anfield View Pod on Twitter, on Instagram, on TikTok. Look, essentially, it'll be posted obviously when new clips are coming up. But let's be honest, if you're on there already, then you hopefully touch with your subscriber. You'll be notified, obviously when new videos come up as well. So let's crack on, guys. Enough of that. Let's really crack on with Liverpool. Well, are Liverpool doing bits, as they say in this generation? Well, if we want to put my Inspector Clouseau Poirot hat on, look, as we pretty much endlessly talking about it. I think everybody's sick of sort of talking about it. If I see one more headline that involves the same headline, I won't really need to say it, but, regarding BARCOLA. So just one more video or headline, I know, then there's me talking about it. I know. Sorry, I apologise. I think everybody's sick of really talking about it. It doesn't mean we don't want the player. Boy, do we want the player. But I think everybody's just sick of sort of the saga, really. Look, the reality is, look, it's not great when you spend a whole transfer window essentially on two players, because it is. I know you can dress it up with the buys of jacket, etc. Jacket was done in terms of all the paperwork, etc. in January. Doesn't mean you ignore what the money was spent. It just means essentially all we've done is basically a £40 million buy, which is an opportunity to buy to Newcastle going to get him. And then basically a buyout clause, and then basically a loan signing of around that was brought to us to some extent. And so, yes, where do I feel like we're at the moment? Well, we wasted one third of the window on Yandy, and I knew that didn't want to come to us when we were miles away on the fee, so that was a waste of one third of the window. And then so far we've invested pretty much the last two thirds of this part of the window, basically on Bradley BARCOLA. Look, I fully understand that we had to wait essentially for PSG to get their ducks in row for us to even have any opportunity of getting him. And so I understand that. You would hope now, after investing all of this amount of time, we're not suddenly going to be stuck there in a position where we're not going to get the deal done because we fall 10, 15 million pounds short. Look, I understand the realities, in terms of the fee, but it's one of those that you just can't wait the entire window out and hope that PSG want to drop it down. And if they suddenly don't and you decide, well, we just can't do it, then you've basically just wasted the entire window, haven't you, really? It's one of those where in many ways you're not gonna look like a genius at the end of the window because you've invested the entire window doing it. It'll be a great buy. Two things can be true. If Liverpool get BARCOLA done by the start of next week, will we look like a genius? No. We've spent two thirds of the window to get it done, which is way too long, frankly. And it's one of those situations where I get large sums of money were in play. Well, large sums of money were in play for almost every transfer at the moment. Even Rodri went for 60 odd million. Everybody's buying players for between 60 and 100 million. We're no different on that front, So it's one of these situations where I know there's a lot of moving parts. For Liverpool, it's a combination of it looks like we really want to sell Gakpo to bring the funds in to really pay for a lot of the BARCOLA situation, and it looks like we had to wait for PSG to sell for them to, not to sell, to actually buy the replacements in, so they're happy. So it's like I get all these different parts, but essentially you do also have to remember to get the deal done for BARCOLA. I don't know whether they're, it could be one of these weird situations that we were at 95% for BARCOLA about a month ago, but because we had to wait for them to do their thing and us to potentially offload Gakpo, who knows what the reality truth is, in terms of the BARCOLA situation. But Will we get it done? I have no inside information. I'm just banking on the fact that the sheer thought of us wasting two-thirds of this transfer window and pretty much doing not that much more in terms of business, and this not happening would make this one of our worst transfer windows ever. Because you can sit there and say, oh, yeah, but there's been windows where we haven't signed anybody. But Xhaka was purchased in January. So that effort and time was all boxed off in January, and he's only replaced Canate. It's not like we've still got Canate plus him. It's just his replacement. So at the moment, the only real sort of effort in terms of time has gone into Muniz and Arojo, and that's it. For nearly the whole window at the moment. So yeah, let's hope the BARCOLA does come in. Will we get the other winger from PSG at the same time? I would imagine so. I think if one comes in, both come in. That's my philosophy. I generally feel that could I see a double deal for 150 million plus add-ons of some sort? Yes. Are they in a position at the moment where it's really about the structure of the deal? Probably the same situation with Spurs in terms of Gakpo. It's really about the structure of the payments to almost be in line with the structure of the payments that are going out towards PSG on that front. So are Liverpool doing bits? Well, no. Look, until they're done, no. We are no further forward really than where we were 1 week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Apart from the fact that PSG have now got all their ducks in row, so it's now a question of are Liverpool going to at least move to within an area where PSG can actually accept what we're putting forward? I believe they've come down a bit. Now we've obviously got, like anything with business, anything in sales and marketing, you got to find the middle ground. And ultimately, I think there's a middle ground to be had on that front. They wouldn't have purchased everybody that they wanted to if they weren't convinced it was going to happen. I think they're not just going to completely offload him to us on the cheap just because they got other players, because that just gives them more depth, and they know somebody would buy him next season anyway. So they don't have to. They could sell him in January if they wanted to. And so I think it's not that I have a ridiculous amount of belief in our transfers because I just don't. But it's one of those that it makes sense. But BARCOLA's going to leave. I'm convinced of that. If somebody else came in and took him off us, then frankly we'd only have ourselves to blame, because we have spent forever and a day trying to get this done. And if somebody came in and actually brought him ahead of us now, then ultimately that falls all on us for being too slow and too ponderous. And so, look, the hold up may all at the end of the day, if it was just about the fee to be agreed, they've had obviously theirs boxed off in a couple of days now. We could just go in and get it all tied up today, and we could be announced tonight. Essentially, I believe the personal terms have already been agreed. So really, it is just about getting the fee done. I don't know why it should take all week to get the fee. I mean, I'm not saying we're only on Tuesday now, but look, if we're sitting here Friday and it's still not signed, then you've got literally our transfer team have got nothing else to do all week but basically get this deal done. We've got 2 weeks to go, and for me, BARCOLA alone, look, 2 more wingers, wonderful. Look, I love wingers, but equally, I will bang forever and a day that this team badly needs a defensive midfielder, and downplay it at your peril. People just, we've got 2 midfield, or Sobers, I just can't do it. It's not who he is. It's not what player he is. And if we have 2 in midfield or 3 in midfield, it makes no difference. None of them are a defensive midfielder. Training only is closer to it, and that's not really him. For me, I get Alex Scott. I'm not sure whether we can get him now, but for me, go and get Alex Scott. And if you can't go him, try and get Wharton. I don't know, he's not a full-on defensive midfielder. Maybe there's another option out there on that front. I just think it would add so much more to this team to have that security blanket there. So whoever you play in front can actually do what they need to do. Like Sobers, I can just focus on what he's there to do for the team and what he does best. It would provide so much more confidence and assurance for the young centre backs playing behind alongside Virgil. It would add so much more to this team. It really, really, for me, it had an extra 20% to our performance by having that type of player in the team. I really have, I have 1% confidence we're going to go and get that player. For me, you could look at my videos. For me, the top priority was a defensive midfielder, a world-class defensive midfielder was top priority. And number two was a world-class winger. And if all we got out this window with those two, then I'd at least would have been pretty happy. Yeah, I would have liked some, like to say, some depth in different other positions. But coming out this window with three new wingers, it's like that's cool. Don't get me wrong, three wingers, wonderful. But I'd rather one winger less than a defensive midfielder. If you give me BARCOLA and a defensive midfielder, I feel much better than two wingers and no defensive midfielder, and then hope everybody's sort of expectations on Gravenberch being able to suddenly defend or show some defensive sort of mindset. So we shall see on that front. So, guys, what are your thoughts? 2 weeks to go. Do you think we're going to get one signing, Barker? Two signings in both the wingers from PSG? Will there be a two and a surprise signing? Will it be 2 in, 2 out, like as in basically 2 in, Gakpo and Jones out? Will it be 2 in, 4 out? Gakpo, Jones, Elliott, and some other. I'm really hoping Kumas stays, guys. I really am. For me, I'm a big believer in the loan scenarios, but equally, I think there's a future of Kumas in the Liverpool squad. I really do think there's a future for that kid in the Liverpool squad. I don't think he needs to go out on loan. I genuinely don't. This squad isn't big enough, and there's more than enough games and league games, Champions League dead rubbers, Premier League games, FA Cup games. There's more than enough games to get the quality time for Kumas. Why put him out into the Championship or League One? What's the point? What is the point? Yeah, sure, he may get 30 games in the Championship. He could get 20 playing for Liverpool this season in all comps quite easily. There isn't a crazy amount of depth in our squad. There really isn't. It takes about 2 or 3 injuries, and Kumas would be nearly starting. On the team. So that's my passion. My real passion plea is that please don't loan out Kumas. I think there's more than enough world where you can get some good quality game time. I really see some potential in Kumas for us. I thought for me, he was to stand out in pre-season. I thought Trey and Yoni was to stand out. They were the two that really shone in midfield. I'm hoping Gravenberch, because obviously, hoping Gravenberch, 1, returns to form, 2, gets over his obsession with only wanting to play more attacking, because that's what Szoboszlai is there for. You can't have Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, and Wirtz all basically bombing forward with 2 wingers as well, and Kirkers. You can't all go forward. No, sorry, Gravenberch. You can't all go forward. Everybody needs to know their role in this team. You cannot have, look, the choice between you and Gravenberch. Gravenberch is the well-cast attacking midfielder. You're not. You're the all-round midfielder that's meant to be edging towards more defensively. I know you want to attack more, and I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that in this system, in this team, you cannot be the one that bombs forward. The idea is that Kirkers goes up. That's what we brought him for, to attack. Wirtz, we spent 120 million for him to be up close to Isak. We can't have Gravenberch going out and emptying that midfield. Gravenberch needs to hold back and really protect the defence and really so he gets the ball, passes it to Szoboszlai to carry forward, and then Szoboszlai to Wirtz to Isak, goal, boom. If only it was that simple, wouldn't it? Remember the days? I remember the days. Remember the days of a Trent sort of 30-yard pass, crossfield to Mane up the left wing, cross Salah, goal, boom. Or it would be Trent to Bobby sprays it out wide to Salah, across the ball, Mane, goal. Oh, those days when we used to go on the break, and about 80% of the time we'd actually at least get a shot on goal, and about 50% of the time it went in the net. Nowadays we go on the break. For the last 3 or 4 years, we go on a break, and you're about 20% of the time we get a shot on goal, and about 5% we get a goal. We've gone from being the world's best on the break to be one of the world's worst. So hopefully the uptick with the wingers will really kick in, on that front, on that side, guys. So hopefully there's some surprises on some things we're working on, on that front. And hopefully it's just not a mass. We can't cull this squad to offset our spend. We just can't. I understand that when Barker comes in, you're probably going to see Gakpo go out. I get it. And I understand the world where Curtis Jones wants to go. I get it. And I understand Trainioni is stepping up to replace him. I get it. But you also have to understand we don't have as much depth as we think we have. And if Curtis Jones goes, I would love to see another midfielder, central defensive midfielder purchased. So for me, it should be a situation where Gakpo goes, that creates room in the squad, obviously for BARCOLA. Jones goes. I think you let not Connor Bradley. You let the right back. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. I'm really bad. Our right back go, not Connor Bradley, but it creates room in the squad. Obviously for ourselves, when we let one of our right backs go, that would enable obviously the other youngster winger to come in as well. And you can always, drop another English person to bring another English defensive midfielder in as well within the squad. So there's definitely ways we can do it. Answers on a postcard, isn't it? If we're sitting here come the 1st of September and we haven't added anything and we've just lost players, and it would have turned an F to an ungraded. For me, the transfer window sits at an F at the moment. It's got the potential to get up to it's got the potential to get up to a B minus. I would say if two wingers come in from here, it's a B minus, because I still think you don't deserve an A unless your defensive midfielder and a proper right back comes in. And you can maybe argue even a striker. So you're a long way away from being close to an A. You need a backup striker, a proper defensive midfielder, and a proper right back to even be approaching an A. But I think that if the two wingers come in, you'll get a B minus from me. Some people who are just more attack minded and not too worried about the rest will probably be a bit more generous than what I am. I tend to look at what really gets the job done for a team, and it isn't just the attack. I remember the reasons why we won the league titles, and it wasn't just, the magic of Mo and and I love Marnie and Bobby and all these things. And whilst people, in certain sections, we're critical of Milne and Henderson and Wijnaldum and Fabinho and all these types of things. But the reality is they were the engine room that enabled all the creators to create. Without them, we would just be a glorified 90s Newcastle, scoring loads of goals, letting loads of goals, and not winning the league. So there's many things that make a title winning team. And the emphasis is on the team, isn't it? And so where we're at now, we definitely have a lot of stardust, and we could be adding some more stardust. I've not one time ever even questioned. Like, I don't think at any time this summer I even asked for stardust. I didn't even ask for stardust last year. Look, I love Verts. But coming into last season after we won the title, at no point did I say we must buy Verts and Isak. I don't think any Liverpool fan asked for Verts and Isak last summer. And I don't think any Liverpool fan even thought we even had an opportunity to get Verts and Isak last summer. Most Liverpool fans were basically asking for a defensive midfielder and some more depth to the squad. And maybe an argument to replace Nunes, but I don't think anybody was really eyeing the summer that we had. Whereas this summer we are eyeing, because we can see all the deficiencies. That's the difference. The previous one we won the season, we just felt we needed more depth and a few upgrades in places. This summer we can see glaring deficiencies within them. For me, there's glaring deficiencies in the main 11 and in the squad. And I think if you just assume that it's just a depth thing and a depth thing only, then I think you're just being a little bit sort of rose tinted when it comes to the 11. I think the 11 is superb, but it's got some real bad weaknesses in it. We empty out the midfield and can be caught on the break very easily. Hopefully, the addition of Xhaka will improve us at set pieces. Hopefully, a fit Alisson for at least 70% would improve us at set pieces as well. The bottom line is it'd be nice if somebody in midfield can actually do something in our defensive set pieces to help the defence. And that's the problem. That's the problem if you have such a ridiculous amount of small or attacking players, somebody's got to come back and also help on the defensive side at set pieces. Virgil van Dijk and Alisson alone can't mark 6 players at a corner. And that's just the reality, isn't it, guys? You've got to be sensible about these things. The things that made Fabinho great was the fact that he could create, boom, was a royal bonus that was. Two, great reading the game. Three, great attacking. Four, great at passing. Amazing defensively. And lastly, it was amazing. Because he was good at height, he helped out on the defensive side as well. So it'd be great to hear your thoughts, guys. Do we get these transfers over the line? Let me know in the comments. Speak to you more soon. You take care.